All right, guys, you're going to love this episode. You know, I'm a productivity queen, all about productivity. Otherwise, I would not be operating multiple online businesses. So I had so much to share in this area around live for productivity that I decided to make it 2 episodes. So what you'll be hearing here in a minute is episode number 1, and you'll have to come back for the goodness for episode number 2. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Hey gang, Melissa Hinault here with the Burnout to All Out podcast. I'm a mom of 3 corporate burnout that built a secondary 6-figure income around my 9-to-5 with little kids. This set me free and allowed me to fire my boss and pursue my wildest dreams. It took grit, persistence, and belief. But now, operating multiple 6-figure businesses as an online entrepreneur and business coach, I have become a serial entrepreneur with a passion to inspire more burnouts to take the leap and go all out and live out their dreams. Each week, I'll bring you inspiring all-out guests, lifestyle business tips, and tools to empower you to take the leap from burnout employee to all-out entrepreneur, making your passion your paycheck. If this mom of 3 corporate burnout can go all out, so can you.
Well, happy Friday, guys. It's Friday for me because it's my recording day. Not sure what day you're listening to this episode, but I'm coming back to you after a series of surviving COVID, catching up on some podcast episodes, and excited to be here with you guys talking about living for productivity. Something I'm super passionate about, and every minute of my day is really accounted for, even minutes that are designed for nothing more than creation and joy. I have to make the space in my calendar to make it happen. So here's the thing. If you're not accomplishing your goals weekly, it's not that you're too busy. It's that you're having a challenge prioritizing. Extraordinary results, truly, it comes down to getting the most out of what you do when what you do matters. Do you want me to say that one more time? Extraordinary results truly come down to getting the most out of what you do when what you do really matters, right? Many would be surprised how little time I spend in each business, but how focused the efforts are in the time that I spend and maximize the time that I'm working on it. So my question to you is, how are you prioritizing your day? How are you prioritizing your time? Productivity, it's not about burning the midnight oil. It's about planning and fiercely protecting your time. My executive assistant knows that she is a ninja on my calendar with protecting my time, and we have a very efficient flow and process with my calendar to make sure it stays that way. So the thing is, your goal should not be to, quote, get more done, but rather you should have less to do, right? So productive people, they get more done and they achieve better results, and they earn far more in their hours than the rest of the people on the planet. Have you ever noticed some of the richest people are out playing golf and enjoying life and on vacation? Why is that? Why is that? It's because they devote maximum time to their top priorities, and they time block and protect it with a vengeance. Okay. I would also venture to say they delegate a hell of a lot too. I have really smart people who are smarter than me that work for me, right? That do things better than I could, and I delegate it to them. I love this quote by Alexander Graham Bell because it really speaks to the concentration of what you're doing with your time. Here's how the quote goes. Concentrate all your thoughts upon the work at hand. The sun's rays do not burn until brought into focus, right? It's all about concentrating the efforts in focus to really get the massive ROI, just like the focus of the sunlight, and how when those sun rays are in focus, they can literally catch something on fire versus being scattered everywhere. I love that analogy. So time blocking harnesses your energy and centers it on your most important work. For example, I wrote 3 podcast episodes in sequence because when I time blocked to write all of my podcast episodes. Now I'm coming to you on a day where I'm recording those 3 podcasts in order in sequence, right? I'm leveraging when I was writing the podcast, I leveraged already being in flow of writing one and being in sequence and flow to write another and another, right? Instead of switching tasks, switching mindset, jumping on a call, going from A to Z, I've blocked time so that I can efficiently squeak out writing 3 episodes on one day and recording 3 episodes on another, which if I scattered my time and didn't time block, probably could have taken me at least twice as long to produce the same amount of work if I hadn't time blocked because of switching back and forth. Okay, where was I? What was I writing about? Okay, I recorded that first episode. Now I've got to get back into my groove and record the second episode a week later. What was I talking about? Right? So there's an efficiency in blocking your time. I could say the same thing for content writing for social media. My clients know that I block my calendar for 2 hours every other week and I write content. Every other week, I write content for 2 hours. While I'm in flow, I get it done. I'm not switching back and forth every day thinking, oh gosh, what do I need to write today? I get in a rhythm and I crank it out. So let me ask you a rhetorical question that I ask myself monthly and weekly and daily. And this comes from the book, The One Thing, that I absolutely love. And that is, what's the one thing that if you achieved it, by doing so, everything else would be less necessary? What is your number one goal for success in your business? What is it? And are you making a priority and time to work on it today? What is the one thing that'll move the needle? I actually have this up written right above my computer. My team knows this, and we focus on it every week. I ask them, what's the one thing you can do today to drive the needle in the business? Okay, so today I'm asking you, what's the one thing you can do to focus on driving results on your one thing? Now, this will be the first thing and one thing you do before you do anything else today. You guys, I assess my calendar. I actually assess it every night before I go to bed and assess what's the one thing tomorrow morning that I must accomplish above and beyond anything else in my business. And guess what I do? I get that done first before anything else, right? Okay. So for example, awesome free value to my audience created community and repeat prospective clients coming back for more, right? So I need to constantly crank out new content because it feeds into my social and my brand and awareness, and it truly drives my business. So I talked about this a minute ago, but I block out hours every other week to write the content because it is the one thing that makes me ever present on media, providing value, right? Including, again, I could say the podcast, writing content and recording the podcast, right?
Hey there, we're going to take a brief little interruption. I think you guys will love why I'm doing this little interruption. And that is because we hear from you all the time over in the Burnout to All Out community on our Facebook page. You've got questions, you want coaching. And so one of the things we are opening up to our Burnout to All Out community that are listening in right now to this podcast is a chance to get your questions answered in a live hot seat coaching session with me, yours truly, Melissa Hinault, in our Burnout to All Out community. And the audio will be recorded and you will be debuted in our podcast with your questions. So if that piques your curiosity and you're intrigued, here's the deal. All you have to do is text the word question. Again, text the word question to the number 1-833-310-3776. 7171. Again, text the word question to 1-833-310-7171. And when you do that, we will come back to you with another message asking you to submit your question. 2 to 3 lucky people will be selected every single week to be featured in my Facebook community and on my podcast. Looking forward to hearing from you guys.
So, is there time blocked for you to make sure that you're building brand awareness and value on social media in a way that attracts your avatar towards you, building trust, building a rapport, all the things? So I want you to think about that. And maybe content writing isn't the number one thing you need to do to drive your business right now. There's ebbs and flows, right? If you looked at a pie chart of the typical day for most people spend less than a quarter of their allotted time to work daily on their one thing that truly matters and disproportionately drives results. We talk about the 80-20 rule, right? And the reality is, on a productive day, the most productive people, including those people I just talked about earlier on that are like the richest with the most free time, they are super productive in the sense that they spend half their time on what really matters. They spend a disproportionate amount of time on one activity that must get done to drive the needle on the business. And so I, to this day, live by this. Each day, my team doesn't get me till afternoon, till after 12 o'clock. I don't take any calls because before then, I am working on my one thing to move the needle on the business, right? So in different phases of my business, different areas were most important, right? So you may be in a different space than I am right now, where I'm providing a lot of value and content. You may need to spend it working on growing your network. Maybe if you're on LinkedIn, you need to spend more time building a network than you do cranking out content right now. Maybe you need to be developing your team. Maybe they need KPIs. Maybe they need more specific instruction and training. Maybe you need to work on a presentation for a new network. Maybe you need to be locking yourself in a hotel room for 3 days to build out a new program. I don't know, but you know, right? So time blocking includes time with yourself. I alluded to this a little bit a second ago. CEOs need time to think. It is one of the most important things you need to make time for that most CEOs don't. My mentor actually moved from Philadelphia to Florida specifically so she could walk and think more outside as a CEO. Okay. This is a woman scaling to $100 million business. So here's the thing. The calendar doesn't know who your appointment is with, but if you don't block time with yourself, it will get filled with something else, with lesser priorities. I don't even think I knew that time with myself was a thing that was really all that important. And now realizing that time with myself is not only needed, but necessary for the business, I time blocked it. On Fridays, I don't have anything booked in my calendar. It's strategic CEO time. It's sacred time to problem solve, right? To implement, to execute, to figure out things that seem unfigure outable, right? Okay. Now, here's a bonus suggestion. Plan for your following week with time blocking priorities, either the Friday before or Sunday night. Like I told you guys, I always, before I go to bed, I know exactly what I need to do the next day. But I would challenge you, when you listen to this episode, I would challenge you to get into some really good habits of looking at your calendar the Friday before the next week and look and ask yourself, am I appropriately time blocking? Do I have space for the most important things? And be open and flexible to move things in your calendar and say, this no longer serves me. This is more urgent for my business. I must move this off the table. We have to be nimble and willing to adapt. What you don't want to do is spend Monday in a frenzy chasing your tail because you didn't have your priorities in check And now you're answering to other people's needs instead of getting your most important thing done. Okay. If that means you do it on Sunday nights, do it on Sunday nights. But check your calendar, time block with the main question of what is the main thing that must be done this week and is most important to drive my business. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this little mini series on protecting your time and making the main thing the main thing. It's been so much content that I'm going to come back to you with another episode to really start unpacking for you time blocking tips in order. So I can't wait for you guys to come back, get your time blocking tips, bring your pen, and share with some friends.
Thanks for listening to the Burnout to All Out podcast. For free resources, materials, or information on my coaching services, go ahead over to livethefreelife.co. That's livethefreelife.co. Or check out our Facebook community at Burnout to All Out, and make sure you follow Burnout to All Out on Spotify and subscribe to iTunes. And it would truly mean the world to me if you paused for just a second, gave me that 5-star review of the show, and be sure to share this episode with any burnouts you think would be inspired to go all out after hearing this episode.